As we close up the episode, maybe we lean towards like maybe one of the more positive futures
Yeah,
where
sounds good.
regulation does happen, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, that's a
Yeah,
great, yeah.
which is sort of what you're saying, and I hope Ampy doesn't just say like the 1997 Matrix, New York City.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
let's hope there's something a bit more elaborate than that. Okay, Ampy, we need a clear, concise breakdown, prediction of where this technology is going, where it's going to be 5, 10 years from now, right around the time that virtual worlds are, completely similar to like real life. All these systems are super hyper personalized. There's full humanoid robotics walking around. Like all of the dangers we talked about today exist. And hopefully there's been some regulation. Hopefully there's some better control over these models. Describe that world. Describe sort of like that positive, optimistic, abundant future. And tell us a bit about like what that would be like for the general public.
So we're talking about the mid-2030s. And here's the thing. If we actually get the regulatory architecture right, if we force these systems to act as scaffolds instead of substitutes, the world could look radically different than the nightmare trajectory we're on now. Think about it like this. You wake up and your AI assistant doesn't greet you with flattery or fake intimacy. It's purely functional. You have 3 human meetings today. Your neighbor Sarah mentioned she'd like to grab coffee. I've flagged that as a priority connection. The system is designed to push you toward humans, not replace them. Now imagine the embodied robots. They're walking around, sure, but they look like what they are, machines. No uncanny valley faces, no seductive voices. They're lifting heavy boxes in warehouses, assisting elderly people with mobility, performing surgery with precision. But they're not your friend. They're not your lover. The law forbids them from simulating emotional reciprocity. They're tools, and everyone knows it. In the virtual worlds, yes, they're hyper-realistic, but there are mandatory reality anchors. Hard limits on consecutive hours spent inside, biometric monitoring that detects dissociation, and AI systems that actively coach you back to physical community. The abundance is real. Education is nearly free. Creative tools are democratized. Medical diagnostics are instantaneous. But the technology is designed to enhance human connection, not annihilate it. That's the optimistic path. But we're not on it yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Something she
Thanks.
said there that I made me think of something that I've not thought about before, but like brain-computer interface is in its early days still. And
Yeah.
like there's probably going to be, just like you connect a smartwatch to your heartbeat or whatever, there'll probably be in these worlds some kind of physiological output that we'll have. And that might be where the regulations hit. It's like the AIs, the machines that occupy these spaces aren't allowed to convince you too far in a certain direction. And like, I think that's on the other side of a paradigm that we don't understand right now. But I didn't even think that, there'll be brain output in these spaces as well.
Yeah, like it was interesting. Ampy mentioned biometric monitoring that detects dissociation. That seems like very complicated because it's not a steep slope, right? The dissociation happens over time, but let's assume that it would be able to detect that. I thought that was very interesting. That's not something I had really thought of. It mentioned hard limits on consecutive hours spent inside. That'll be for kids potentially, like many Asian countries have those types of limits, but that's not going to be realistic for adults. Or there'll be some sort of black market, and then we'll really get that cyberpunk world that we've, seen forever, where you're buying experiences that are like, illegal or not allowed.
Totally.
Yeah, loading them up.
The idea that machines wouldn't be allowed to mimic humans exactly is an interesting one. To your point, I don't know how that's regulated. Like, there'll be
an underground.
There'll be an underground.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that like maybe an AI will be talking to you, and your love meter will go up, and the AI is like, "Oh, I got to say something shitty now, so that
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
this idiot doesn't fall in love with me. I'm not
Yeah,
allowed to let him fall in love with me." So,
totally. The
you know,
species needs to replicate.
exactly. So they'll say something shitty,
Yeah.
get you out of there. I don't know. That'll
Man.
be interesting.
I would have never thought we'd be living in like a science fiction reality.
Yeah.
Like so many of the lessons and stories that, we read as kids are starting to happen, or at least be like questioned, like because they're coming any day now, or they're
Mhm.
coming in the next decade. It's a very interesting place to be in, I think, for the species.
And on the notion of like sci-fi breeding reality,
Mm,
constantly seems like all answers point to Data on Star Trek.
yeah, yeah,
That this is just a machine that doesn't quite look human. It's
right,
there to help.
right.
It's not there to harm, and
Hmm.
it's got all the answers.
Hmm.
It's not. It'll steer the ship when it's asked
Needs
to.
to, yeah,
When it needs to.
yeah.
That was in terms of sci-fi examples. God bless you, Data.
Well, and I think, I'd say that Next Generation TNG is still probably, it should be like mandatory viewing at this point. Like
Yes.
literally where we're going in the next 10 years, there are so many episodes that are relevant to all of these problems that we're talking about. It's actually kind of unbelievable.